All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Old Moon Podcast, episode 7. Almost 2 months, guys. Almost 2 months with this now. All right. I am your host, Blue Squadron, and I am, of course, joined, as always, by Tiltus. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Tiltus TV. I'm really excited to be here this week. I'm excited about the topics we have this week.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Honestly, like that, we have so much to talk about this week. It's going to be actually so much fun. I'm actually excited to dive into it. And of course, we are joined by the Lord of PvE himself, Jay-kun.
Hi, I'm Jay, and I look a little bit different.
Yeah, I was going to say, you looking kind of fresh and clean, Jay. You're looking kind of fresh and clean. You put on a new, is the butterfly new or?
It used to be on my head. Now it's on my throat.
It. The bow tie butterfly. Okay, well, I was gonna go with I was gonna go with neck, but yeah, throat is more aggressive.
Can you give us a wink?
A wink, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Oh, look how well rigged that is. That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. All right. Yeah. Okay, so we have a lot of fun topics to get into today, and we're going to jump straight into it. A good amount of this podcast is going to be about life skilling. Now, Jay-kun, I know you're known for your PvE. Have you ever done life skilling? I know you've touched on it, but have there been pieces in your like BDO career where you've gotten super into life skilling? What has that kind of been like? Like, which life skills have you been super into, and then what are you into like right now?
When I first started the game, actually, I focused on life skills, mainly gathering, cooking, as those life skills were very tightly knit together, right? And they were some of the easier life skills to get into for money making, especially as a new player back in 2018. To this day, cooking is still the life skill I do the most, mostly because I've already set up my node empire for cooking Balanos meals, and I'm kind of too lazy to set anything else up.
Yeah, we're gonna touch on that later, as laziness is like a huge part of this thing. All right, so cooking and like gathering, you said, are like the two big ones.
Yeah, cooking and gathering. Yeah.
Okay. And Tiltus, have you what big life skills have you been into? I know you're normally known for like your T1 stuff, shot calling, leading epidemic and things, but have there been times in the game when you yourself have been into life skilling, or like right now even?
Yeah, so pretty much anytime I play the game, I try to do life skilling to some extent, because there are things in the game that are just a pain in the butt to get unless you go get them yourself. So I do life skill, I gather, cook, alch. I used to do a lot of horse training back when I very first started the game. I have not done that much now. What are the life skills? I've never been big into sailing or bartering. It's just not my thing. And I AFK fish all the time. I will never not AFK fish.
Oh wow! Oh really? What do you have with? Why do you like AFK fishing so much?
Because I have my fishing pole branded, and sometimes I forget to check my computer before I go to work in the morning, and the character's still doing stuff when I come back. So
you can do other life skills. See, like you just pat a wagon back and forth, and it would still be going when you go back.
Oh yeah. No. I've been doing that some as well now since we talked about that like week 2. I was like, oh wait, you could do this. Hang on, let me get in on this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was gonna say, alternatively, you could do what Jay does, and just refuse to turn your computer off because you're lazy, and just stay on a dummy even though it's useless. Also acceptable. All right, actually, I think I might be the biggest life skiller of the three of us by far.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of a closeted life skiller. I don't really talk about it much because people would make fun of me. But like when I started the game, I was super into life skills. I'm like a do-it-yourselfer. I love making stuff yourself, and so alchemy has always kind of been like my thing. Like I've always loved going out and like gathering like the rare materials and like getting them together and then putting elixirs and stuff together. The problem was alchemy doesn't make any money. And so actually, believe it or not, I used to go around I tried to craft like every elixir in the game at least once, and I wanted to do it myself and make all my own stuff without using the central market to buy anything. So there was a long time where I was making elixirs by myself. And at one point I was making Weenie Looney elixir, which I know you guys, the only reason anyone ever knows Weenie Looney elixir is I know the surging weenie. I get it. So get it out now. But like it requires moss tree sap, and I was actually gathering down in Kama Sylvia, and I discovered I was the first one to discover like the big secret about how to gather dead tree essence many years ago, when Kama had just come out. And so I would list, I mean, I'll skip over all the details, but I would list thousands of spirit perfume. Up until this point, only like 30 spirit perfume had been listed to the marketplace. Every once in a while, they would give it away for login rewards, but that was it. Nobody knew how to gather it. But I figured out how to get the dead tree essence. And honestly, it was an oversight by the developers. Whoever was coding it in actually labeled the tree wrong, and so no one could figure out how to gather the dead tree essence. And then I
love to see it.
Exactly. I had accidentally like discovered it, and my gear is brought to you by Spirit Perfume Elixir, because I bought, there was the loopy tree sap that now sits at max place on the max on the marketplace. I bought like 400,000 of it at min. I also bought out the market for Fruit of Nature back in the day too, when it happened, because that's also part of the exchange. But so I was like super into alchemy, discovered Spirit Perfume Elixir for the first time. That was super sick. And then I got super into sailing when I became a GM for Dismantle. I got super into sailing and bartering. Oh my god, like mainly because I just didn't have the time to do anything else. So I would just sit in Discord with the homies, and I would hit T and just sail around on my boat. But now I have full blue gear on an advance. I do Crocs all the time. I'm constantly bartering on stream. I absolutely love the boat content, and that's good because neither of you two can be fucked with boat content. Now I also I'm a master horse trainer. How high is your guys' horse training? Have you guys ever gotten into horse training?
I've been Artisan 1 on a couple of different characters. Like I said, when I first got into BDO, I was really big into horse trading. My first T8 course that I made way back in the day, I made completely from scratch myself. Went out and wrangled up a whole bunch of T5s and
this
bred them all
guy,
together
bro,
and went
what?
all the way up to T8.
Yeah, see, he's closeted Lifeskiller too, bro.
I come
That's what
from
I'm talking about.
RuneScape, dude. I spent countless hours Lifeskilling outside of BDO, so I'm all about that life. I enjoy Lifeskilling, actually. It's what I do when we're doing the podcast. I just run around and Lifeskill.
Yeah, so what I'm talking about, like there's points in your BDO career where you're like, I really want to do this like one life skill, and you invest a lot into it, and it's not because it's efficient, it's because you find it like super fun. Jay, did you ever have like that moment where you were like, man, I'm gonna go just make my own tier 8 Corsair, or do you just buy everything off the market since like the dawn of time?
I think my very first tier 8 Corsair, I made myself because I had a bunch of skill change coupons just for free.
Oh, you're gaming.
But for the most part, I usually just buy the horse. Like I bought all the extra. Like I need a male and a female tier, dream horse to get the tier 10, right? So I just bought those extra ones for the most part. But if I ever do like tier 9 attempts, I usually just use the free materials.
Okay.
It's just
none of us
RNG stuff I don't want to deal with.
Have none of us really gotten into hunting at all? Hunting's like this big, like unexplored life skill. I feel like for so many players.
Funny story about that. I bought a Pen Manos Hunter's Clothes, and I did hunting for like 1 hour, and I just didn't do hunting ever again.
No
I
shot.
still have that Pen Manos Clothes.
No way.
In case if I want to do hunting again. But I was like, I'm gonna finally get into hunting this time, and I'm gonna make like one build plus like those people who have
Typical
like 2000 mastery, and it just wasn't for me, unfortunately.
I think that's go ahead. Tiltus, you ever got into hunting?
No, yeah, I used to hunt a lot actually. Before they changed whaling, I was super big into whaling. I still love whaling, but my time schedule does not sync up with the boss Discord time schedule that they like to do whales. So I'm always like in between spawns, so I can't ever actually do the whales anymore, which is a little bit of a bummer. I never got into calcs, but I did used to grind all the homies up and to artisan hunting at Feather Wolves, and haven't got much into hunting since the field boss came out. I did it once. It was actually really entertaining, but I have trouble. My schedule does not allow me to do field bosses regularly, so I dabble in hunting, but I'm not like super into it. Whaling is by far some of the best content in the game, in my opinion. I love it.
You like whaling?
I love whaling.
Which version? Which version?
Stories.
You mean the Pearl Shot version? Because that could be a life skill too if you think about it. Okay.
No. So I have a fun story. So back in the old whaling, when whaling was a little bit more contested, we were a node war guild, so we went out to do whaling, and we rolled up, and there was a life skiller party out there whaling. Well, needless to say, they had better gear than us, so all of my PvPers got on the life skiller's boat, and we chopped that motherfucker's boat down and put it to the bottom of the sea and took the whale.
Oh my god!
It's still some of the most fun thing I've ever done, and I was not, that guy did not like me for a very long time afterwards, but it was just like, it was like the combination of the two things I was really enjoying at the time. I loved getting the homies together and going sailing and killing whales, and I also loved PvP, and it was like the perfect mixture of like, we had 4 guys on this one dude's boat just chopping it down.
What I'm getting from Tiltus is the only real reason that he liked hunting was that he could PvP while he was hunting, and this qualifies as life skilling content. We are life skilling as he chops really this boat down. He's like, yeah, get him. This is life skilling.
I really enjoy whaling. I think it's super fun, actually. It's very chill. It's really good money now as well. So I actually like it a lot. I just can't ever do it anymore. My schedule doesn't let me sync up with the whalers. So
yeah, I personally have always wanted to get into hunting. I just can't get over the hump of I don't fucking wanna. Like I mean, they have these like really cool bosses and stuff, and then in the new region, right, they're coming out with like the sniper gun and stuff, and I just really want to. I just can't be fucked. It's just so hard to get over that hurdle. So Alchemy, you guys, neither of you guys into Alchemy, but don't worry, I've got that covered. I know Jay, really the reason Jay is into horse trading is because he needed to make his T10 horse.
My first comment about how I make all my own elixirs for Node War and run a full elixir rot and do all that, and I'm an alch person.
Okay, no, you can't just say, well, I run an elixir rotation, so I'm super into alchemy. No,
what?
Bro,
what do you mean? What else do you use alchemy for? What? I mean, okay, well, hold up. Don't get on me for that. I know what you're about to say, but
yeah.
No, I do alching besides just elixirs as well. I make everything from scratch.
All right, that's good stuff. Now we also, the most ironic thing that I haven't heard yet is that they just reworked trading, and none of us were like, yeah, I'm like a super big trader. I absolutely love it.
We just won't talk about that one, right? We'll just
fucking awful,
go next.
Bro. What the hell? Okay, so were any of you traders back in the day, back when it was like super good when the game came out? Like, when I say super good, I mean the trade crate system was fun and interactive.
No.
But like, did you guys ever do that stuff? Some biohack level stuff?
No, that one came and...
but it was like too much to comprehend as a new player back in the day, and so I just never set it up. And I never went back to setting up crates. So
yeah, I could not get into that content, bro. I made like a bunch of crates back in the day, and then I actually was just so lazy, I just click and dragged them to the trash can eventually. I was like, I can't be fucked, bro. I can't do it, bro. I don't care enough. Farming? Do you guys do farms anymore?
I do.
I was gonna say there's no shot that Jay doesn't do farms, bro. Like I absolutely believe. I believe for 100%. Tiltus?
I have multiple characters that master farming.
And you didn't think to bring that up? Oh yeah, farming's
it's mostly passive for the fruits now. I do some cooking stuff, but I have such a stockpile of cooking mats that I do it strictly for fruits right now. But yes, I'm a farmer. I'm a farmer boy.
Okay, and Jay, what do you do the farming for? Is it also the fruits?
Mine is mostly for fruit of enchantment, which is needed for tier 10 attempts. So
that is true. So yeah, fruits, I guess. Yeah. Really? I guess. Yeah. Can't you just snipe that off the mark? I feel like I just put orders up on that.
Enchantments, there's hundreds of thousands of orders.
It's hard to get fruits off the market right now.
Okay,
everybody wants them. So.
Oh dang. Okay. All right. Got to jump on that. Got to jump on that.
456,000 orders on fruit of enchantment. So.
Yeah. So the reason you guys like farming is because of the rewards. It's not because farming is particularly fun for you. I'm just wondering, like, because there's two reasons to like life skills, but like I actually really enjoyed farming back in the day, picking where you to go and like adding like fertilizer and water and stuff to it. And then I realized none of this shit fucking matters. You just put your fucking farms outside of of Velia, and no fertilizer, no watering. You just set your workers to it, and then you just gather them when they're done. Is basically what I've realized with farming, and I don't know, it just kind of sucked the fun out of it for me. So I don't even think I'm master yet farming, but I'm close on a fair amount of characters.
I think
I'm actually master 22 farming just from breeding
What?
the.
damn.
Yeah, I've been doing it for
Yep.
5 years. I just keep flipping it. I set them up and just never not set them. You know what I mean? Like I set them up and then I just
Yep.
it feels like I just
Upkeep
need to
them
do
every
it 'cause
day.
It's
Yep.
part of who I am now as a.
Yep.
This is my
The
life
first thing
now. I
I do when
have
I
to
get
do
home
this.
from
I'm a
work.
farmer.
Yep.
I'm a farmer. Yeah, but one of the big reasons I got out of farming is because, like you said, the upkeep is just too. For me, I was like, or I could just set my workers on nodes and just never worry about it. The upkeep is literally refresh all, done.
Yep.
So like I'm a big I'm a big worker empire guy. So like I assume you guys like your farms more than the worker empire, but we'll get into that a little bit later. On the subject of AFK life skills, are there any actually worth doing anymore? Not like even AFK horse trading. Like, do you feel that any of these are actually worth doing anymore? Jay, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned horse training. I think that is the like in terms of completely AFK overnight with no downtime and little effort set up. You know, that's the life skill that comes in mind. Horse training. They did change it recently so that you only get tier 6 and above horses in the wild, and a chance of tier 7 or even tier 8 in the wild. So it's really easy to upkeep the tiers of horses to be at least tier 7 before you sell them on the market, or send them to the glue factory for T10 materials and silver. So
But aside from what about aside from the horse training?
aside from horse training, I mean, whether like completely AFK life skills are there? I mean, I guess there's
Fishing, processing, yeah,
fishing. Well, I feel like processing is like if you kind of need to do processing for certain life skills, right? Like cooking and alchemy, you kind of need to process those materials up. And so if you're somebody who does a lot of cooking and any other life skill that requires processed items, then processing would be worth it. But in terms of silver, I feel like you don't really make too much silver from AFK stuff, right?
Yeah, so like and that's kind of what I'm getting at here. Tiltus, do you feel like any of the AFK life skills are worth it anymore?
Honestly, no, not really. I know a large portion of my guild agrees because they log out every night too. It's wild if you get on at like 1 or 2 a.m. There's like 10 people online. You're like,
oh my gosh, bro,
yeah.
what?
Like used to, everybody was online all the time. But honestly, I just don't think they're really worth it anymore. It's hard to say that they're worth it when the actual monetary value that you make from it is like 1/100th of what you would get going to fucking uppies or doing something like that.
Don't say
that was intentionally just for you. It was just for you.
Upper Gyfin. It is upper Gyfin. You will sound it out.
But I do AFK fish I actually do a lot of fish drying so that I always have a supply of dried fish that I can use because like I said, I make all my shit myself. I do process stuff when I need cooking mats. Sometimes if I'm really feeling it, I will buy the super cooking tool or the super alk tool and just AFK it overnight and let it just roll. But I don't think processing's good anymore. The tier 3 mats that people use to process just sit now mostly. So yeah, I don't AFK horse trading is probably the best, and that's just for T10 attempts. So
yeah. So like all right. So we've looked a little bit at AFK life skills. Now what active life skills do you guys feel are like the most popular for the player base right now? Jay, again, we'll start with you.
Probably hunting as the most popular active life skill because when you get to those higher mastery brackets, I think at 2000 you get 300% more materials. And I remember Moonglider, who was the first Guru 50 hunter on NA, saying on stream that one time he makes more money hunting than grinding at Hex Sanctuary, which, to put in perspective, top end grinders can make at least 1 bill an hour at Hex. So, I mean, additionally, the mass amount of materials you can get can be used for other life skills such as cooking, alchemy, and processing. So, yeah, it's hunting all the way,
Oh, so you think it? All right. I don't think hunting's I mean, like, I think that it is popular among some people, but the most popular, I don't know. Tiltus, what do you think? What do you think of like the 2 most popular life skills in the game right now? Active ones. Active.
Are we including bartering as active?
Yes. Yes, we'll include
Okay.
bartering as
So
active.
I would say I think it's probably still gathering for the actual life skillers is probably the most popular. And then after that, it's probably bartering. And then I would say maybe hunting as active skills.
Yeah, okay, so why do you feel like okay, so gathering I can see. Why do you guys feel like hunting is so popular? I don't really see very many hunters. Like I know that there are like a few, but like
have you ever done Roar?
is this another one of those uppy situations? I swear I must
No,
smack
it's
you.
it's
the
his
field
name's
boss.
it's the field boss. It's the hunting field boss. His name's Roar.
Oh no, I've never done that before.
Sometime when you see him spawn, just go down to where he spawns and look how many people are down there.
There's a
doing
lot
the
of people.
hunting
Yeah,
field
I went there
boss.
once.
It's
I was like
insane.
surprised.
Yeah,
How many
Really?
people went there.
wild. And there's a train for it too, so you can hop and do multiple RARs in a row. It's actually
kidding.
it's actually pretty cool. So I think hunting is slept on a little bit, but I think the players that are kind of in the loop with life skills probably do quite a bit of hunting. It's good money.
Oh, right on. Okay. Now you guys didn't mention cooking at all, and cooking and gathering kind of go hand in hand. I've always like gathered so that I could cook better. Do you guys feel like
more of a like a semi AFK life skill? So
Yeah,
I
that's
kinda,
kind of
like,
how
omitted cooking as when you mentioned active, right? So
all right. We'll say all right. We'll do a semi-active category as well. We'll do semi-active. I
yeah,
guess.
because I was thinking the same thing. Like cooking's probably the most popular, I would think.
Okay. So all right, semi-active.
Life skill overall, probably cooking.
Okay. All right. That's what I'm looking for. What about Jay?
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's still hunting? If we include all of the life skills together.
if we include like cooking and alchemy, no, not hunting anymore. Then it would be cooking.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay, got it. Okay, now I'm less concerned. Now it makes sense. Now it's all coming together. Yeah, it's all coming together now.
Yeah.
Because like man, there's so many cooks out there that just stand in front of the utensil and they just make billions. That's just what they do. They just keep buying mats off the market. I saw Flannels doing it the other day. He just stands in front of the cooking utensil and just lets it run. That's his content, bro. He just stands there and talks to chat. I'm like, man, I need to get on board with this. But
Play a different game down in the corner, you know.
all right, and which of all the life skills, which one is the least popular? Number one, least popular. Nobody does it. I know what you're gonna say. It's okay. You can let it happen. Tiltus, you go first this time.
Oh, okay.
Jay's like,
it's honestly, it might be a toss up between fucking trading and farming. I don't think a lot of players
no, because
farm.
you two of the people in this call do farming,
Dude, I've been
and I know
farming
zero
since
people right now do
all
farming.
right, relax.
There's zero people that do trading in this call right now, and two that do farming. Jay, what do you think is the least popular life skill?
Least I'm gonna change it to like one of the least popular. It's probably sailing, one of the least popular, because it
Get
has
out
a
of
very
here.
specific niche, right? Which is to help you do ocean content more
Some
efficiently.
people
but
live and die by Salies, bro.
Yeah, you get out of here.
Yeah, I know there's a few out there who really like sailing, but I think I feel like most people can agree that the ocean content in the game is not
Don't
the most fun.
Don't you dare.
I do remember sea monster hunting used to be very good in 2018 because it literally printed money.
Fun
But
is
that was
such a
eventually
strong
nerfed,
word.
right?
Yeah, fun is such a strong word for that. You were ramming sea monsters in the back all day. I don't think that was fun.
No, I like the sea monster hunting before that. When you took the guild galley, I've talked about this before. You take the guild galley and all your friends get muskets. Before everybody figured out ramming with the controller was the most optimal way to do sea monster hunting. You'd take all your homies out on a Saturday night and play Drunken Sailor in the Discord bot, and then just sit there and shoot sea monsters with your muskets. It was so much fun.
I never had that experience, but now I'm kind of wishing that I feel like
dude, it was so
that would've
good.
been
It was
wild,
so
though.
good. Everybody's
Dang.
on the guild galley. It's like one of the only uses for the guild galley. Everybody would just stand there right at the edge and just shoot their muskets at sea monsters. It's
my
good
God.
content.
There's dead content is the guild galley. Holy moly. Okay, that's
needs
time
a
for another
rework
podcast. Time for another podcast.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, Jay, I don't think you're on the mark here. I feel like sailing, because it goes with bartering, I feel there are way more barterers than there are traders in the game. overall. Like I feel
absolutely,
like bartering is definitely a more popular life skill, and it's ironic too, right? Because like they literally just changed the trading. Like they just updated. Supposedly they worked on this for like 8 months, and they release it, and they just handed it to us, and it was just a steaming pile of shit. We're about a month past, a little less than a month since they released this new trading rework. Have either of you actually tried it or like heard anything about it yet?
I actually did a little bit of research on the BDO forums earlier to see what people have been saying about the trading rework so far. And for those listeners who have never done trading after the rework, to give a brief bare bones explanation, it's basically you buy goods, you wait until the price goes up on one of them, and then you trade the goods, right? And a common consensus I heard was that to get the best profits, it's very time restricted. The profit cycles every like 4 hours, meaning you can't get the best profits if you happen to be at work or asleep. You literally have to build your IRL schedule around trading to make it sort of worth doing. And another common consensus I saw was that it's so heavily RNG based that if you make a bad call on holding onto an item to try and wait for it to go up, you basically get severely punished for by just making no money at all. For the time you spent waiting for the goods you bought. And for some people, they were saying how they ended up with less money than they started with because it fluctuates between 30% to 300% of the original price, right? And somehow it just stays below 100%, you know? So,
bro, dude, it's like they didn't learn their lesson. It's like they did this with bartering. Do you guys remember when bartering first came out? It cycled on a barter refreshes
4
used to be
hours.
completely different. Yeah, there was a 4-hour cycle, and you had to like set alarms in the middle of the night. And part of the reason I never bartered at that time is because I was like, I cannot be fucked. I am not waking up in the middle of the night to go barter. Like, there's just not a chance. But like, it used to cycle every 4 hours, no matter what, and people hated it. It wasn't until they changed it to like, yeah, you can refresh it on your schedule, but you can only do one less refresh per day. And everyone was like, oh, thank God, this is way better. Yes, you could make less money bartering, but like also, oh, thank God you could actually barter without actually having to set your entire game and out of game schedule around it. Why, oh, why would they go back to that for the trading rework? That's actually just wild to me. Like, it didn't work with bartering. Obviously, it's not going to work with trading. Do you guys think that if they remove that 4-hour aspect and kind of make it, I don't know how they would make it like bartering, but like made it more like bartering where it was like on your own schedule?
I actually had an idea of how they could sort of fix it, where so to make it more flexible for people who can't be at their computer all day. You know how the price fluctuates between 30% to 300%, right? So let's say your item goes up to 250. What about an option to sort of like lock that price for the day, and then you can trade it later, which makes it more flexible for people. And there is this app. I don't know if you guys ever used this app for Black Desert. It's the Black Desert Plus app, which right now the only thing it does is you can access your market to buy, list, or like relist stuff. It's really useful for like, let's say you're at work and your costume order goes through, and then you can list the costume order. That's what I used it mostly for. But maybe an option for also trading to lock the price, and that would be, that's my personal idea on how to make it more flexible for players.
Yeah, I use my BDO app for replenishing my traces.
It's actually kind of a great idea. Like that, I didn't even,
because you can only pre-order traces in batches of 100, which goes like that. So every time I get a notification on my phone that a trace has been bought out to 100, I just go in there and refresh it.
Oh wow, holy moly! Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm kind of a gamer. Today I sniped a strike off the marketplace. I know. Okay, all right.
Whoa.
I had to be said. Had to be said. Had to be said. Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah. We're huge.
That's actually crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, we're absolutely huge. But okay, honestly, Jay, I love that suggestion. I mean, we already know that they have like this freezing mechanic-ish thing in the game from the not the Black Robe, the Black Market venue. Patricio, that's my boy right there. Patricio, back in the day, you could freeze it. So like that's an old mechanic. Back in the day, you could go talk to Patricio, and you can still do this. It's just not nearly as good now. Back in the day, this is how we all got our boss gear and stuff. You go talk to the night vendor, and it was the only way to get Oregons. You go talk to the night vendor. It had to be at night. That's why he was called the night vendor. And he would list. You'd spend 50 energy, and he would give you a random product at a random price that was either half of. It could have been 50% to 400% of the actual price of the item listed on the marketplace. And so like you can see people buying their dandelions for like 600 mil back in the day, back when you could only make 6 mil an hour. It's just actually nuts to me. But like, yeah, the night vendor was an amazing way. And actually like silver had weight, and silver, it wasn't all centralized yet. Like the central market did not exist. So if you had silver in one city, you could not pull it out unless you were in that city. So if you were using the night vendor in Valencia and you saw this amazing deal on Uragan's boots, you had to lock it. So you could lock it, but it only stayed for 30 minutes, and you had to haul ass across the world on your tier 6, because nobody had tier 8s yet. On your like tier 6 drift instant trying to get to Velia where all your money is. Like you're desperately trying to run the money to the night vendor to get this item. Anyway, like that, we know that locking mechanic is in the game from the night vendor. I think Jay's right. I think if they just introduced that for trading, it would be awesome. And then introducing on like the mobile app would help people kind of manage it a little bit more reasonably around their schedule. Do you feel like the silver reward for trading is any good? Because I have heard that like some people are like losing money. Some people are only getting like 100 mil an hour, like miserable.
So the post on the forums that I saw said at best, like if you had the most optimal profits, it would be around 500 mil per hour if you had the most optimal profits, but that's not very realistic to have all the time. So
yeah, that's what my goatees have told me as well. It's like absolute best you can do is like 500 mil.
Dang. And what's like the average?
Like,
do we know?
200, I think.
Oh, less than that. Rough. Thank you, Jay. All right, okay. So I want to move on to rating this content. So like typically content video is kind of rated by the player base in two ways. Number one, how fun is the physical content itself? Okay, like is the act of doing it a lot of fun? Okay, and number two, how good are the rewards? And you can have something that's just terrible content. So like that's just not fun to do, but it's got amazing rewards, and people will be like, you have to do this. It's super fun. Or they consider it good content because it's got rewards, good rewards, and vice versa. Do you feel any of the life skills, we won't go through and rate individually each one necessarily, but do you feel any of the life skills are not fun to actually do anymore? Like set all of the rewards aside for a moment. The physical act of fishing, for example, is that fun for you? Like the active like fishing game, is that fun for you guys?
No, I hate fishing and the money sucks. So
okay, yeah, I have a question. I have a question while we're on fishing. Have y'all ever harpooned?
Once.
Okay, is there a mini game associated with it? Because I've actually never done it.
There is. Yeah.
Is it the exact same
there's
mini
this
game?
like little shadow.
It's actually kind of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little fish shadow, and you try to click on it, and then you keep doing it until you kill the fish, and then that's how you get your fish.
Oh,
that's the mini game. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Is that good content? Is that fun? Is that a fun mini game?
I never did it again after the first time.
Okay, so it must not have been that good. Sounds better than normal fishing, but doesn't sound good.
And I will bet that both Jay and I did it at the same time. It was required for the Termian event one year.
Yes. Yeah.
And so we both did it for the Termian. Yeah, we both did it.
I got the thought. It's right here.
Well, it was required for the Termian event one year, and I wanted my free underwear that they were giving out, so I did it, bro. That was literally the reason that I went and did it. But yeah, harpoon. Honestly, it was a lot of fun. It's just dog shit. Like in terms of like, and again, you rate it by two things, right? It's like, are the rewards good? Is the content good? I actually think that harpooning is actually kind of fun. The mini game, I think they nailed it. But the rewards are just not there right now. It needs like a pretty substantial buff rewards wise. As far as fishing goes, Tiltus, you're the one that said you love fishing every night.
Yeah, but I AFK fish. That's different. Fishing mini game is not great. It's kind of annoying, to be honest. Do
you guys remember active fishing? Like when you would like get on your Furia sailboat back in the day, and you would sail around and get on the fishing hotspots. Yeah, you could go hotspot fishing. You would just sail around looking for fishing hotspots.
I did that. It's been a while now, but within recent memory, I've done that. And it was like not bad. It was right after they gave something a buff in fishing at one point a few years ago, before the grind spots were just this astronomical silver per hour numbers. But Yeah, we used to all hop on a boat and go active hotspot fish. It's pretty fun. Like if you get a group together to go do it, it's pretty entertaining. But I think that's just group content in general. Anything that allows you to pull your friends in and do stuff is more fun.
Yeah.
But fishing minigame sucks. It's not fun. Rework that.
Okay,
shit.
so active
Make
fishing
it like the
is
Stardew Valley like minigame where you've got to keep the fish like inside the little bobber or whatever.
Yeah, of course you do.
That would be
Played Stardew Valley and Blue Squadron.
Yeah, I didn't play Stardew Valley. I was a man of culture. I played Harvest Moon. I played Harvest Moon.
Harvest Moon's fishing mechanic. I can't remember. It's been such a long time.
I don't remember either. I just remember dating Julia, who had an excellent personality.
That's a lie. That is a lie because I know exactly who you're talking about. Exposed right there on the spot.
It's a wonderful set of personality. I don't know what it was. I just walked up to her and I said, "Man, this woman, gosh, she looks like she's a lot of fun to talk to." You know what I mean?
I think the most fun life skill, in my opinion, is probably hunting. I think it's the most interactive.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that too. Like it's like you run around with a gun and there's like mechanics you got to do, and they've got like bosses and stuff. That's what we're looking for out of life skills. I think they nailed it with hunting, and that's part of the reason I think it's so popular. Is that it's not only it's finally got like solid rewards, like you guys said, and like the mechanics are finally like they're a lot of fun to actually do. I think, which I don't know, it's more engaging than most of the other life skills, right?
Rar will beat the crap out of you if you don't know what you're doing. Like that field boss does not play around. You will get one shot by that boss if you're not careful in hunting clothes. Now maybe not Jay with his Pin Manos hunting clothes, but like other people, like you should watch the feed sometime at Rar because it's just like ding 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 ding. Rar's kill feed.
Dang, I need to go try this. Honestly, I'm thinking about it. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, man, I need to go get into hunting. I feel like I'm missing a lot of content going around to like kill the bosses.
It is.
And stuff.
It's a steep curve to get into hunting.
Yeah.
It's, well, that's not what I mean, but like just like getting there, because he dies like
boss?
really. He dies like really fast.
Being
So
there
if you're
at
not
the
there
time,
with an alt, you kind of just have to use your alt, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was
running
questing.
over there won't.
Yeah, I was questing. I was like right by him when he spawned, and I was like, "Oh, I've never done this boss before." So I pulled my musket out of storage and walked over there. Good boss though.
Actually, wait. They did add a like a pre-spawn warning now, so that's not that big of an issue anymore. But before you just had like he spawned and then you would get there and then he would be dead.
Yeah,
but now there's also a warning if I'm not mistaken.
Not only is there, I think there's a pre-warning still, but it's you can run that boss in a train as well. So he only spawns on like one server at a time.
Channels.
Yeah.
No,
so
it's not all servers though. I noticed it's only like a few servers.
Yeah. So what you do is you go to the boss Discord and you look at Rar specifically, and it'll say he spawned on this server, and then somebody will call it on the next server, and so everybody will hop. And since Rar takes a second to kill, you can actually hop to each channel. And I think he's kind of like Whales, where it's got like a set time in between spawns of like 5 minutes or something like that too. So it gives everybody a second to like refresh their spawn or their server change timers.
I've tried that. I've only ever gotten to be able to hit 2.
Yeah.
Because there's a 10-minute cooldown, and so when you get to the second one, you might be able to get the tag, but the third one definitely. I've never gotten a third RAR before.
I'm sure there's some people that are in the world, BDO world boss.
I'm giving this a shot.
You do it this way. You got to do it this way. You guys are doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm totally giving this a shot this week. This sounds like a blast.
Yeah, Roar is good. Roar is a good design.
Engaging world boss kind of field boss content. What's going on right now?
Now he's nothing crazy, right? Because you have a musket out, so your options of what you can do as a class are limited. But he's a good boss. I like doing him, and it's always cool when you see a bunch of people doing something different too. Like everybody's knelt down on the ground shooting muskets, like, and then he'll come charging at you, and everybody will roll out of the way.
Do you have the sliding shot skill? Did you get that?
What is that?
No, I do not have the sliding shot skill.
Wait, how do you get that?
Basically, it's a family hunting quest, and you just do a bunch of hunting quests to get it. But you basically you can cancel your first shot into like a double shot essentially. I don't know if you've ever do you guys know Garnier BDO? He's another streamer.
Yeah, I know
Negative.
Garnya. Yeah.
He does
Negative.
he does a lot of hunting on his channel, and he uses his shy, and he casts his like speed spell and all the speed buffs, and he shoots like his 4 bullets in like 2 seconds.
2 seconds.
Like,
Yeah. It's super
he
nice.
shoots it like so fast with the sliding shot. It's
No kidding. All right. So we talked a lot about hunting. Okay, hunting's in a good spot. We like hunting.
Yeah, hunting's great.
All right, we're good. All right. Okay. But gathering. Okay. I'm just gonna go down the list. Gathering. Do you guys feel like the act of gathering is fun or in a good spot? And then are the rewards good enough? Tiltus.
Gathering, not fun. Rewards, good enough. If
Why
you're,
is it not fun?
Because I'm literally doing it right now while we're talking. It is auto attack.
He's literally gathering. He's like, no, this sucks. This content sucks.
That's literally what I'm doing right
been
now.
doing it for hours.
No joke.
It's the
I'm doing
classic
it for 2 hours, but
classic Steam review.
Rewards are good enough that I will do a couple of hours of gathering every week to make sure all of my elixirs, all of my food supply, my taps for my Manos gear, like all that stuff is in order for the week. And then outside of that, I don't do gathering.
Classic Steam review. Like the game sucks.
Yeah,
has 500,000 hours. Yeah, like Jay, do you feel like gathering's in a good spot?
yeah, I think it's in a good spot. As for fun, I mean, I guess it depends on person to person. I think it's just I think the better word for it is like kind of relaxing.
Yes.
It's not too you don't have to use your brain, and that's really important for some people to not use their brain. So
that's me. Oh my god, he's speaking my language. That's me. I
think the rewards
relatable.
are good for how little effort you have to put into your brain power. So
yeah, I mean, like, I think a big part of gathering for me, I'm actually not looking forward to I'm one of the only people that's probably not looking forward to the mini game.
Because
it actually,
if you want, there's a toggle.
Yeah, but see, like, then I have to actually go through the act of like spending all of my energy. The mini game will spend my energy faster, so I feel required to do it.
You feel
so that I don't have to. Yeah, so I don't have to spend as much time, because then it's like way more efficient. If you do the mini game, it's way more efficient because you spend like 50 energy in one gather, and you get a bunch more mats, obviously, off that gather. But if you don't do that, then you got to spend like 2 more hours.
It still doesn't require a lot of brain power. I promise. I've been watching my friend on the Korean servers do it. It's not. There's not much brain. You just click. You just click on the right spot. It's.
Thank goodness.
So
that's what I want. Okay.
This
Good.
time.
Hey, you shut your mouth. There's a delicate balance here that the developers need to strike. That, like, the reason that the majority of players do life skilling is because it's very relaxing, chill content. They don't have to worry about being a sweaty grinder or anything. All of their sweat was poured into the 400 billion silver they put into their life skilling set. You know what I mean? Like earlier we had mentioned that, like, who is it? It's like, oh, they just sit at 2K mastery and they cook and they make all this money. And I'm like, well, he did spend like 800 billion to get to that point.
Yeah, to get full pin, Manos, everything. Yeah.
Right. So, like, he's not sweating anymore, but at one point there was a lot of sweat there. Okay, so gathering, honestly, I feel like gathering's in a reasonable spot, especially with the new update coming out. It looks like it's headed in the right direction. Alchemy, do you guys feel like Alchemy is in a solid spot? I guess you kind of have to, but if you take gathering out of the equation, I don't even know if you can really consider Alchemy. The only real way to get Alchemy materials is to have an excellent node worker empire. The worker empire. Yeah. I have like 103 artisan workers. They're all level 30 and all have a job. And like I said, I'm an alchemist. So, like, they're all bringing in all of my materials that I need. And even then, some of those materials are just really hard to get. And I think that alchemy is just it. We were going to talk about this a little bit later, but like the subcomponents for alchemy, you're actually punished for doing alchemy. If you take the materials and you just sold all the basic components for the materials, you'd make more money than if you put the elixir together and then sold the elixir on the marketplace. Do you guys feel that is a good thing? Like, do you feel like the subcomponents should be worth more than the elixir? Is there a reason that they're doing that? Tiltus, we'll start with you.
I don't know if there's a reason why they're doing it. I'm assuming there has to be, but no, in my opinion, it's dog shit. I should feel like my elixirs are worth selling on the marketplace. And and players should feel, because they're super valuable in PvP. I mean, they're min maxed for a reason. They're always sold out on the market, so they're very valuable. But they're not worth it to sell them at all. So I think that the price should be increased so that people that life skill and don't PvP can sell their elixirs to my guildies that I've been trying to get on elixir rotations for God knows how long, and they're like, I can't buy them off the market. I'm like, I know
you gotta actually go do it.
Let me show you how to do it, and then do it.
You gotta play the game. That's crazy.
But I do think they should. I think they should be worth more. So my stance is Alchemy is not fun, and it's worth it on a personal level to do, but not worth it to make it your source of income, obviously.
Okay. And if you were gonna buff it, would you buff the subcomponents or would you buff the price of the elixirs?
I would buff the price of the elixirs.
Okay. Why?
Because if you want to, the subcomponents are hard to get to. Try buying fruits off the marketplace. It takes forever. But the people that don't want to build all their own elixirs from scratch should be like, they should be able to sink money into somebody else's bank account to do it for them in game. So I think that if you incentivized people actually making the elixirs and selling them on marketplace for the people that use them but don't want to make them, then maybe you would actually get more elixirs on the marketplace. Because there's a lot of things in this game that just don't sell on the marketplace that players have to make, which is great for some players and horrible for other players.
It's true. Jay, how do you feel about Alchemy right now? Do you feel like the subcomponents or the elixirs are too cheap on the market? Do you feel like there's a reason for that? And then which one would you buff if you were going to buff one?
Okay, so I would neither. I actually would either, for the buff, I'd rather have them make the subcomponents more available so that there's more supply. So no buff to the price of subcomponents or price of elixirs, but rather buff to getting more subcomponents in just general, just increase the supply, to be honest. So
yeah, I can see an argument for that.
That's my other solution for it.
Yeah, I would generally agree with that. Like, as the alchemist, I feel like they view cooking and alchemy very differently. People in game put them together as like side by side life skills because you're standing in front of a utensil for both of them, but they're actually very, very different beasts. Cooking, you can just buy you can literally just buy all the sub meals off the marketplace and just make Valencia meal or make Balanos meals all day long if you want to. And if you have high enough mastery, you will make money. Alchemy, every time you put something together, you lose money. And that's just the bottom line. You're just losing money every single time you put something together, except for maybe Spirit Perfume Elixir, because they finally increased the price on that. But even then, it's very difficult to do that because you can't get the subcomponents at that point. But I feel like it's built that way for a reason, because Alchemy gives you consumables, like very specific consumables that high-end players need, that will give you very specific, like very, very good buffs, versus cooking where like every player needs meals because it increases your health EXP. So every player needs meals. Don't that's literally, I almost guarantee that's the reason. Is that like basically every player eats food, whether it's for life skilling, or it's for PvP, or it's for PvE. Everybody eats a specific kind of food to help buff themselves up. Elixirs, it's kind of here and there. Not all players use elixirs. They might use droughts, which of course use elixirs, but they give droughts away really frequently, or frequently enough that like you might not even have to buy them if you're super concerned with it. So I think that buffing subcomponents is not the play. I think that buffing the elixirs themselves is also not the play. You really don't want people mass producing this stuff, right? In cooking, it's okay if anyone on the server wants to mass produce hundreds of thousands of Balanos meals a day. It's not going to crash the market because there's a demand there. But elixirs, if you push elixirs too hard and you have these players with 2K mastery making these elixirs all day long, yes, suddenly your market orders get filled, but then it just destroys the whole market for it in general, and then no one can do it.
The difference with alchemy and cooking to that extent is that the components for cooking, like you said, are super easy to get. They are not easy to get for alchemy.
I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. And that's why I agree with Jay. All of that to say, I agree with Jay. If they need to make all of these, especially traces and fruits, you have got to give us a way to give us fruits and traces. Whether you go out and gather them or you get them from hunting or any of that stuff, alchemy is so bottlenecked on those things. The rest of it almost just doesn't matter. Like there's very few recipes in the game that don't rely on either a trace or a fruit. And off the top of my head, it's like the truffle mushroom, right? Like, and even then,
talk about it.
And even now, to be honest with you, truffles can honestly be the limiting factor now that they've given truffles a little bit of a buff recently. And so I've had a much easier time finding truffles. I've even sniped orders that like full orders of detections off the market just over and over and over again. Over the last couple months since they buffed it.
Up right now.
Yeah, on the green elixir. That's the trick, is you put it on the green elixir, not the blues. Yeah. But like, I think they need to increase the supply for this stuff. They need to introduce a way to get traces, a way to get fruits. And I don't really have necessarily a creative way of doing that, although I would like to see like a new life skill introduced that maybe allowed us to get those things regularly without farming, because farming, like, so it's like you're doing farming and you're getting the fruits, but then you're not getting any of the traces because you don't have enough of a worker empire to get the traces. Right. So like there's like this trade-off. It's kind of a nightmare.
With fruits, you can get a decent amount of fruits by hoe harvesting. It's not an absurd amount.
Yeah, I've done it. Yeah.
So I'm currently trying to get set up to make immortals, and you have to go harvest Delosha flowers. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Yep.
And so like I did 2 hours of that during one of our podcasts, and like I had a pretty hefty amount of fruits by the end of it. Like it wasn't a staggering amount, but it like supplied my alchemy for like a week or two, just for that 2 hours. So
when you say a week or two, how much alchemy did you actually do? Because I feel like 1 or 2 hours of gathering, because I've done it. I feel like 1 or 2 hours, you're gonna get through like a utensil, maybe a utensil.
So I think at the end of 2 hours, I think I averaged like probably between 100 to 150 of each fruit, which then turns into 300 to 400 oils. So like,
yeah, but it's still only a
decent amount.
Still only 150 makes. So like, if you have 150 of each fruit, and there's how many fruits are in the game? We'll say like 8.
Something like that, 7 or 8, I think.
So 8 times 150, that's 1,200 makes. That means at 1 second alchemy time, you're going through that in what, like 20 minutes?
Yeah, but then you're also making the elixirs after that. So you're adding on.
Yeah, but even then, like that's
as well.
You know, I mean, you're just blasting through.
Yeah,
like
but that's, I don't need to do alchemy like nonstop for a week or two supplies worth of elixirs. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
but
Saturday I sit down and I do all of my alchemy for the next week. So.
Right, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that like cooking, you just can't. I think the mats should be, I understand that they should be rarer than the cooking mats, because you don't want players to necessarily just like AFK sit at the utensil all day and do them. But like, oh, come on, man, like we got to be able to do more than like 1 utensil a week. And then with all of this upfront stuff, like, and plus, even then, like even if you try to do 1 utensil a week, you're out of traces like that. You can't even do a utensil. There's not a chance.
Horrible.
Yeah, there's not even a chance that you can get it like the traces in time. And I think that that's just outdated. Like they just haven't updated that in years, and it needs to be updated. Like, honestly, we were going to talk about this a little bit later, but like the node worker empire system, does this need an update? Because currently the only way to get traces is to do like the worker empires. Right.
You don't want to go grind like, for your like 10 traces an hour at a spot.
10 traces an hour is being super generous. Super generous. As someone that's done a lot of gathering like that, there's actually just no shot. Like it's like you're just, the only real way to get them is through the nodes. Do you think that like just directly not changing the node system at all? Like first of all, do you guys have node empire? Jay?
I do have a node empire set up mostly for Balanos meals, so I have a lot of like fishing nodes. So,
oh wait, you have a lot. Okay, yeah, I have 1 fishing node. because I don't really do. I make
I just
good
dry
feed.
my fish.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't. Yeah, I don't. No, I can't be fucked to dry my fish. But go ahead, Jay.
So I mean, if I had to, I guess if I had to make an improvement to the node war system without changing too much, it would be in like an auto feed system to just keep the node empire going without me having to manage it. Especially like for people who, you know, were busy with work or something, or they're sleeping. I think that would overall help the generation of materials for the whole BDO community.
I have an absolutely wild idea for you, Jay. Are you ready? Let me feed my workers from my app on my phone.
Holy shit! My head just exploded.
Yeah, that would be good.
My head just exploded. No, that's too bad. The technology's not there. That's too bad. Nothing we can do.
I already have access to my central market. Let me put 50,000 beer in there and then feed my workers from my central market store of beer. Okay.
Hold up. Yeah, wait, like that actually, like one of the biggest problems with feeding workers, and it was fixed with Magnus, was trying to get the food in the right spot because you needed food on the correct alt. And like it was really inconvenient, and then you're constantly, and I was just constantly buying stuff off the market because I just
Sylvia, you ran out of beer. You're like, now I gotta character swap and go to the character that's in Heidel and grab my beer. And
right, like okay, so do you guys have mainly for your worker empires like Tiltus? Hold on, first of all, Jay, when you say you have a worker empire, how many workers do you have?
Here, let me open up my worker empire. Hold on.
Just ballpark me.
You might be surprised. I have 101 workers, and
Beautiful.
I want to say like 95% of them are artisan. So
okay, are they all working?
Now there are, after I just fed them in.
my man said, hang on and click this button.
Bro, oh my god, bro, to feed your workers, man, like this.
They're starving.
It's unethical, man.
Oatmeal.
But like how many farms do you have, Jay? Because like there's like almost no way to keep all your workers. If you have 100 workers working, there's almost no way to have a crazy amount of farms. So how many farms do you have in conjunction with your worker?
You can only have 10 farms, right? So 10.
Yeah. Yep. So you have 10 farms. Are they the Old Moon farms?
So 9 of them the Old Moon, and one is the Klaus Old Moon farm. You know what that is?
No. What's the Klaus Old Moon farm?
If you do the family quest for farms, you get it's basically a free 10 CP Old Moon fence. So you can save 10 CP if you do that. So
I have to go do that so I can get 10 CP back. Yeah,
they're actually adding another quest that gives you a free strong fence, so you can save 10 more CP.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See, now they're speaking my language. But part of my biggest problem with farming before is that like you're just spending too much CP. And I wanted my worker empire working, so it's like impossible to keep 100 workers working with 10 fences. It's just you just can't do it unless. I mean, obviously 10 of the workers are going to be on the 10 fences. So there goes 10 workers right there off the top. And then you're losing a lot more workers on top of it. So you can only keep like 70 or so, maybe 80 workers working at a time. If all of your, like you're sacrificing a fair amount of your worker empire to make that happen. Now, do you guys feel like, all right, now that your workers are working, Jay, what's your most common worker? Like, what do you guys like the most? Do you like goblins, giant? This is a debate, bro. This is gonna be a debate. Goblins, giants, or humans? Why?
Well, I usually mostly have goblins because they just work faster. But I do know that because I'm not always feeding my workers and their stamina is just being at 0 for a good portion, that the giants would probably be more efficient for somebody who can't be at their computer all day.
There it is, baby.
To feed. Yeah. So that's why I want them to have an auto feed, or like the app system that you were just talking about earlier. That would make it so much better. It's almost
like there's access to my storage via my phone.
Yeah, they could do so much with that Black
Actually, crazy,
app, you know. So
yeah. So when I first made my worker empire is very outdated right now. It's mostly just set up to acquire green workers at this point. No. No, my workers are set up mostly just for alchemy mats at this point, because like the processing mats that I used to gather are severely outdated, and I don't do a ton of cooking either. So my workers are just basically alchemy, and then What was the actual question? My thought left
You're
my
good.
brain
What's your
so
favorite
hard.
orc? Do you like goblin,
That's right.
giant, or human? Goblin, giant, or human?
So when I first started playing the game, I actually exclusively only went for giants because I know I was not going to be home and I was going to be sleeping for a large portion of the time. So I only had a couple of hours to play BDO. So I actually specifically only went for giants. That way they would continue to work while I was working and or sleeping. Now I do mostly humans, actually. I think almost my entire worker empire is humans, except for really long nodes, which I put goblins on because I know I'm gonna be back before they're done doing their shit. So
you have humans. That's your humans. It's like the
I went
only.
in the middle.
It's the only incorrect answer. It's like I built a balance. Oh no, he's stupid. Like no, no, I'm just kidding. But like I've never seen anybody make a case for the human worker.
I just do human workers because they're in between the goblins and the giants, and I find that my schedule now allows me to at least feed most of my humans like before I go to work, after I get off work, and stuff like that. So
well, the biggest case for humans that I've heard is that they have the most luck. And so if you put the worker on some node that has some rare material, like in Olin's Valley, there's a mithril node. And
God,
you don't always
don't talk to me about the mithril
Oh
node.
my God,
dude.
bro.
That's a scam.
Don't even.
That thing is a scam.
63 mithril in like 2 years. I don't want to hear it, bro.
Bro, can we talk about the winter cedar sap nodes
Winter cedar,
and how they're a scam?
Wait,
yeah, they're a scam too. Yeah.
Oh, for you guys, okay. I guess I'm just built
They
different,
haven't
bro.
been
I
generating.
get plenty of.
Really?
I get
How much?
plenty of.
I'm gonna look
senior
at
stuff, bro.
my bank
I
right
have-
now. I
I'm gonna look at mine,
haven't
too.
touched it in like 2 weeks because I go down there and manually gather it now. Let's see how much is in. Let's see how much is in here right now.
Well, that's why. So
255, bro. It's a scam.
really.
It's a
Bro,
scam.
I'm pulling. Okay, all right. Well, I'll just stay quiet. My
No. You gotta tell me now.
My-
Send me in DMs later.
I have
to know.
1,500 cedar sap sitting in storage, and that's after using some like last month. Like
How do you have so much, bro?
I don't like. I'm just
Oh.
better
Am I
player. I
missing
don't know
a
what to tell you.
node?
That's not
There's
even,
only two
I just
nodes
gathered
for
like
them,
an
right?
hour, and
Well,
I had
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not even an hour
I
into
was
that much.
10,000
But
cedar or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say like what most people don't realize is the players are lazy. The destruction elixirs are actually not rare at all. They are like one of the easiest elixirs to make in the
they're
whole
easy.
game, and people just don't do them because the only
You have
people
to
that
go
want
gather
them
for an hour.
are the
Gather.
PvPers. Yeah, the only people that want them are the PvPers, and the PvPers can't be fucked. So they just put the orders on the marketplace and just let them fill, which they will, because the snowfield cedar sap is actually really easy to gather.
Yeah, very easy.
yeah, it's super easy to gather.
Right.
I wish the trees looked a little bit different though, because
Yeah, they're very hard to determine.
when I'm like
That's-
half paying attention watching YouTube or something, and I'm like, "Is this an actual tree?" No, it's not. This is an actual cedar tree, not the one I want. Drives me nuts.
Okay, all right. So back on the subject, just to explain it to the listeners. Yeah, just explain it to the listeners who don't know. Goblin workers in BDO work the fastest. They have the fastest runtime, but they have the least amount of overall stamina. So you have to feed them many more times. But they will net you the most materials in a day if you can keep them fed. Humans are somewhere in the middle, but have the most luck, as Jay was saying before. But I'll touch on that in a minute. That's kind of a meme. Giants work the slowest, but have a massive amount more stamina than something like a goblin might. So giants might be able to go all day without you necessarily having to feed them, but are going to yield you less over time than the goblins or even the humans will. I personally like the giants, just because again, they're only like I'm really good with my worker empire, and I set it up and it's very efficient and everything. But like I'm human, man. I only remember to feed them like twice a day.
Do you
If
have
that.
do
If
you have a
that.
remote login on your phone?
No, I don't do the remote
For
login on
video.
my phone either. Yeah, so like they'll go for at least 10 to 12 hour stretches without getting fed. Is my point. And so like the humans can't quite make that distance, and the goblins can't. I hate it. Every time they give me a goblin for free, I'm like, this is garbage. I can't. So I actually have when I say I have like an efficient worker empire, I actually have the goblins doing very specific nodes so that they actually don't use all of their stamina right away, but they have the fastest runtime on that node. So like they end up having the same runtime as the giants do, but on different nodes.
Yep, that's what I was saying earlier. The ones that take a super long time, I've got goblins on for that exact reason.
Yeah, and like I think that humans having luck, bro. This is why the worker like system needs to be updated, like completely overhauled. It needs to be completely overhauled. The luck thing for humans, I swear, I've been doing this for like 6 years. That shit's a meme. Like I actually like you could put like any worker on there, and I feel like I'm getting the same amount of trace of savagery or the same amount of trace of ascension as if I put a goblin on there. Like I could have a max luck human worker, and I feel like I'm just not getting a substantial difference. I feel like they absolutely need to buff like how many. Either they need to add another worker tier, or which probably is not the solution, but like they really need to buff how many materials you're getting per run. I think to make it like more lucrative for players. Also, like traces would be a little bit easier to get for everybody. I'm not saying like crazy buff them, but like make it reasonable. Make them get like, I don't know, 5 traces per run. I know this is crazy, instead of like 0 to 1.
That's what I was gonna say. The worst is when you look at something and you're like, damn, I know that worker hasn't gathered that in like 2 or 3 runs.
Right. It's miserable. And sometimes they're just really inefficient nodes. And if you don't know how to, you guys ever opened your map and gone to the territory research information on top right of your screen? It's like, it's next to the little eye. There's like a territory research information, and it'll put these like green and blue and gold bars on your screen, and no one knows what they're for. I know what they're for, and I've explained it on stream before, but like this dictates how efficient your node is actually going to be and how many other players on the server actually have your node. And that will decrease the overall amount of materials that your worker is actually getting from that node if too many other players actually have it.
Whoa.
So like again, this stuff,
that's wild. Whoa.
So for example, trace of origin is a very sought after trace. There are 2 nodes in the game that give you trace of origin. One is in, I think, Glish Ruins, or it's around Glish, like I think it is Glish Ruins. Yeah, it's exactly Glish Ruins. But everyone has that node, so it's really inefficient to get Trace of Origin from that node. You can actually get Trace of Origin from another node. It's called Fountain of Origin, and it's in Drigan. Okay, you can connect it through Keplin. I have it connected all the way through Keplin, but that node will give you way better yield because players just don't feel it's worth the CP to get into.
Okay, Blue, not so loud.
People feel, but it's just an example, bro. I just tanked
players
you.
are gonna go snag
I just
Trace
tanked.
Of Origin now,
there's nothing I can do about that. I'm sorry, it was just one example, but there's plenty of examples of that in the game, and so like, but you need that knowledge, bro. Players don't have that knowledge. It hasn't been buffed in such a long time. People look at those bars and they're like, "What if this is just dead content? None of these bars mean anything." And actually, they do. The gold bars actually are for the investment banks. The green bars are for the territory research information, and the blue bars, we're fairly certain, are for residences.
So can I drop a little bit of knowledge on you real quick?
Go ahead.
It might blow your mind.
Yeah.
Did you know that each one of the green weapons, or not each one, but most of the green weapons, you can melt down for traces?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So when I used to run Gahaz nonstop.
Yep, that's all we did, baby.
Yep, melt
Trace
them
of
all
ascension,
down.
baby.
That's actually, yep, exactly. So there are other ways to get them. Most players probably don't know them, and they also don't grind those spots anymore. So
there's just not enough of a supply.
Yeah, that's another reason why we're probably short on a bunch of traces now.
Right, but like I feel like I actually like the idea that if more players have one singular node, you get less resources from that node. But I think that they should dramatically buff how many resources you're able to get from nodes, especially if other players don't necessarily have that node. Like if you spent the contribution to invest all the way into that pine timber node in Drigan, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you should get way more materials for that node than somebody that just like is collecting pine just outside of Keplin. You know what I mean? It's like a really easy node to get to. But like the workers need to be updated, the efficiency needs to be updated, like the percentage of mass that you're getting, like the luck actually. Oh yeah, the workers' skills. We haven't even talked about workers.
Please.
How useless
I was
are
waiting
like
to bring that up.
every skill, bro. Like what skills do you guys go for on your workers? Tiltus, since you have an opinion on it, do you actually re-roll skills, or do you just say I don't fucking care?
No, I can't be bothered to reroll skills. If I see somebody with luck or work speed, I'm like, hey, good enough for me, baby.
That's my guy. Yeah, that's right. That's like the only two valuable ones. Jay, how often do you actually use the Siege Workshop build time?
Hey, yo, my cannoneers are crying somewhere. Okay, relax.
I used to roll the workers before, but I think the biggest issue with rolling the things is that the worker needs to stop working. Mm-hmm. And so if we could roll the skills while the worker is working, then that would be such a huge quality of life change. And I think more people would roll the skills for better skills. But I think I mean, I don't mind the system. I think it's such a cool system to make workers more like unique and useful, but it's just really hard to do. I think it's an old system that could use a little bit of an update.
Is it making them better and more useful? Because like I feel like 98% of these mount knowledge, that's useless. Ship, wagon, horse, work gear speed +5, costume knowledge, that's garbage. Advanced timber packing, that's the only one that people really liked. Is the advanced timber packing one, and that's useless now because we just updated trading. That's useless now too. Now we've got like the only things that are really super crazy useful are the move speed ones and the luck ones, like Tiltus said. So like, yeah, I agree, Jay. It's actually a super cool system that they should just a simple update to the worker system to actually make these skills meaningful and let players actually roll for skills that they want on their workers to make your empire a lot more lucrative. I think that would be really cool.
Like additional materials per when you like finish the node. Yeah, that would be an interesting idea. So
yeah, like honestly,
hello,
but like the I don't know, put it all on Duff. He's like, no, that's not my department. That's Black Star's department. There's nothing I can do. It also takes a crazy. Did you know you can name your workers?
I have my name.
Did you know you can actually name them? I actually named one. I was scrolling through my workers the other day. I was like, oh my god, this one's named Utaru.
So do you know why I have my workers named? Because when I was doing a bunch of promotions for my workers, sometimes I'd forget to put them back on a node, and then I would forget what worker I had on what node. So I went through and I named all of my workers what node they were working on, so that after their promotion, I could send them back to the correct node.
Wait, he's a genius. What? Oh my gosh, he's actually so smart.
Or you can name it Wutaru.
What? Shut up, Jay. Yeah, I'm doing my best, okay? I went the RP route,
my
okay?
workers are actually named. I have all of them named. Well, maybe not all of them anymore, but when I first came back to the game and redid my setup like a year ago, I like went through and renamed all of my workers so that I could remember after they were done with their promotions to put them back on node.
That's actually crazy. Like there's been so many times when I've been like, I've had to take workers off or rearrange stuff, then I'm like, oh, which one went where? Which one was on that?
You just name them what the node is.
Oh my gosh, you're a genius. I didn't even think about that. I stopped naming them because like after a while you start to look at your worker empire as like, I don't know, you're feeding them with food, which is morally questionable. And so like I started naming them after my friends, and then was like, you know what, I should probably not do that. So yeah, I thought it was like a cool thing that they added that you can customize it. But yeah, I think overall the node worker system just needs to be updated altogether. I liked that they decreased the number of CP per node that you actually was required per node very recently. And I ripped everything and redid the whole worker empire when that happened. And I did it on stream, so like I explained it all and like went through each and every single. I actually have the VOD download. I just need to upload it to YouTube. I think it would be super useful as like a impromptu guide.
Watch it.
Impromptu guide. But yeah, okay. So that's enough on the node worker empire system. I know we got a little off subject there. I was actually gonna bring that up later, but like we hit it, and I just couldn't pass the opportunity up. So back to life skills. Do you guys like the Manos update came out like what 4 years ago now?
Yeah, it's been a
Is
long
it 4
time.
years ago now?
I think it may have only been 3, but I can't remember for certain. It's been so long.
Yeah, it's something like that. And when the Manos update came out, this was like the biggest life skilling update that the game had ever seen. Like this was massive. I know it was wildly like people were trying to gather materials for months trying to get ready so that on day one they could try to make some tri Manos, you know, and things like this. Do you feel like the Manos system now, we fast forward 3 or 4 years since it's come out, do you feel like there's any aspect of the Manos system that is outdated? I say the Manos system, the mastery system that is outdated? Or you feel that like needs to be looked at in any way? Jay-kun, we'll start with you.
I think certain life skills masteries scale significantly better than others. For example, like hunting. Let's say you have about 900 to 1,000 mastery. That's about 100% more item amount. And at 2,000 mastery, it's about 300% more item amount. So that's like it's like a pretty good scaling. But if you compare it to something like sailing mastery only gives you
it's such a meme, bro.
0.5% more per 50 mastery and doesn't even scale.
It's so terrible.
It's just 0.5%. It's just flat.
It's miserable,
and
dude.
some life skills don't even have mastery. Like bartering doesn't have any mastery, and I'm almost positive farming doesn't even have mastery. It's non-existent. I mean, according to the description,
farming
it does
today. Because I was like, does this actually do anything?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, bro. Tiltus has been farming for months. And he's like, wait, should I be wearing mastery gear for this?
So
it really doesn't
like
give you that
better
much
scaling for those and mastery effects for the life skills that I mentioned for the future. So
would you like for me to read you the farming verbatim from the game right now?
Hit me, baby.
Sure, yeah,
I'm out. We're ready.
People
Yeah.
who don't.
Higher levels reduce energy consumption and increase speeds for harvest, plant breeding, pruning, and killing pests.
No,
That's
they
it.
don't. Bro, do you? Okay, the pruning speed and stuff, does it actually decrease? Because like, I feel like Okay, all right. Well, it's still not. Oh my god, we don't care.
It's like slightly faster, but
oh no, it's garbage. It's just like horse training. Horse training mastery was a meme. Was an actual meme for like the longest time, and then out of nowhere they added Mount EXP gain to horse mastery, and then suddenly, bam! It was super important. I actually remembered it. I pulled a Tiltus, is what I'm gonna call it. I remembered it yesterday. I had been AFK horse training for months. And with like a +3 or +4 clothes on and 0 mastery. Like I have Mount EXP artifacts, but I didn't have any mastery on. And I have this I have like Tet Manos accessories and stuff, like actually just griefing the crap out of myself. And then I just out of nowhere was like, oh, I should probably have mastery for this. This would probably be really good. So I bought like a training Manos training vest off the marketplace at +13, and then one tap it hit pry, and one tap duo, one tap try, one tap tet, easy game. And then I went to I get the Manos riding crop. It's the exact same thing. It's like bam, 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 and we're done. It's like okay, now
this guy doesn't fucking miss.
I was playing a different game yesterday. It was actually a little insane. I've never had that happen before, but like. Yeah, I completely agree with Jay. Is that like some life skills, the mastery is like super impactful and it feels like it's very meaningful. And then other life skills, it's just non-existent. Now bartering, I will say, I think there should be some life skills in the game that don't require mastery. And I think that bartering is one of them. A big part of the reason I got into sailing in the first place was because it didn't require me to invest fucking 300 billion into a Manos set that, like I absolutely needed, or I just was going to be really inefficient even with a Carrick. I liked the ability to start life skilling. Like I felt like I could start life skilling without being crazy inefficient. And I don't like it's not that I like to play the game efficiently. I fucking barter for Christ's sake. It's that I don't want to grief myself. So like gathering, for example, I don't want to go out and gather with a magical tool. Could I? Yes, but like, I don't know, it would be miserably efficient. So I actually just won't go out and gather unless I have like a good life skilling set
As someone that has sold their complete Manos set like 2 or 3 times, don't do it, because there will come a point like 6 months down the road where you're gathering with a magical tool again and you're like, this is the most miserable thing I've ever done in my entire life. Why did I do this to myself?
Well, honestly, it's the cycle of life and death. So what happens is you get this idea in your head one day. You're like, I'm going to be a life skiller, right? So you make all of this life skilling gear for like the next 2 or 3 weeks. You make all of this life skilling gear, and it's worth billions and billions of silver. And then like you're life skilling, and then one day you realize, wait a minute, how much money do I have if I sold all of this right now?
That's exactly what happens every time.
And the second that your life skilling set becomes valuable enough that you can just sell it and get your next gear upgrade, you sell the life skilling set, get the next gear upgrade, and then you begin making the next life skilling set, and the cycle of life and death continues. Like,
Jay's
I'm not
over here like, I have so much money, I don't know what to do with it. And we're like,
look, we don't know why we can't get gear games. We just keep buying and selling our life skilling set over and over and over again. It's miserable. Every time it gets better too. Every single time my life skilling set gets just a little bit better. And I'm telling you right now, I'm already looking at it like, man, that Tet Manos necklace is kind of worth a lot of money.
How many zeros does that have?
I feel like that's like the same thing for PvEers who extract all their Caphras to sell to get the next gain, and
yes,
then they get the Caphras back, and then they extract the Caphras again.
Yes, same thing. It's the same exact thing, bro. And the cycle of life and death continues, bro. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so the mastery system needs to be updated. I actually think that bartering's in a good spot. Do you guys think that fishing mastery should be updated?
I wanted to touch on one thing before we go like down
Okay, go
specific masteries. Blue life skilling gear.
Oh,
hello.
Oh yeah.
Did more blue gear really need to be a meme in this game? Really? Was that necessary?
I think the developers like that. You think I'm kidding?
Think so?
I think the developers actually like the fact that people are using their content. Like the green AP offhands, they said at the Calpheon Ball, we want you to use more green offhands. And we're like, why the fuck did I make this Kudum, bro? Like why? Wait, so what you're telling me is I could have just made this thing for basically pennies, and been fine. I think they like the fact that like all this old gear that was valuable like super long ago is now becoming useful again.
Well, I'm saying blue life skilling gear is the most irrelevant piece of trash that's ever existed in the game.
Actually, it's not. I thought you knew. He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Yeah, and
he doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
Okay, so you can now hit because of like because of the artifacts they introduced to the game and the crystals, right? That they introduced to the game, and like all the elixirs you can pop. Pen Geranoa is actually the most efficient way to get to 2000 mastery. Yeah, like wildly efficient. I take
everything I said back. Never mind. Ignore me.
Yeah, it's actually the most efficient way. That's okay. The life skiller is here.
No longer a meme. It was a meme for a long time.
One of my chat members was actually complaining about how that specific thing, that blue gear is actually way better than Manos gear now because you don't need all that extra mastery, and how there should be more brackets past 2000. So what do you think about more brackets past 2000?
I think there should be more brackets past 2000.
Yeah,
bro, people. Yeah, I mean, like the problem we have currently is that you have people spending. I mean, people are like, oh my gosh, life skilling should be capped on how much money you make. Nobody cares.
No, like why would anybody say that? The only people that say that are PvPers.
Because it's really easy. Yes, because it's really easy, and people want PvE to be the highest silver per hour in the game, no matter what. And in fairness, it is. No one is arguing that. Like, it's not even close. But like, if people spend 500 plus billion silver, because these Pen Manos accessories are not cheap. Each one of those costs, like, I know they're worth like 130 bill on the marketplace. They cost like 500 billion silver to actually make. On average. Yeah, like it's absolutely wild. If people want to spend trillions of silver making a life skilling set, please give them the brackets that make it impactful, right? Like, I mean, like, I don't know anyone that actually thinks that it should be capped that hard, but I think the developers like super scared to make life skilling worth any amount of money. Like bartering specifically, man, if you could give me, man, one whole episode, I'll just talk for 2 straight fucking hours.
Just let Blue sit in here and rant about bartering one day.
Bartering is such a miserable spot, man. They refuse to make it good. They refuse to make it good, mastery or not. Like if they just add it at this point, now I have a mastery set. You can add mastery to bartering now. Now it's acceptable. But like, they refuse to make certain life skills good because like I guess they see them as like AFK or semi-AFK activities, and they don't want you to be able to make a certain amount of money doing that every day. But like some people, all they really like to do is barter or sale or do crocs. Like I know, like Nice Toes Bro is in shambles.
The other nice thing about life skilling too is it helps the market so much with things like Kafras, bro.
Yeah, bartering
Like,
definitely helps the market. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
not
yeah,
bartering, but like
yeah.
other life skills. Like there's other things that come out of the life skilling that people can do that would help our bottlenecks so hard, and like players should be able to do that as much as they want, basically, to help. Nobody I know in my PvP guild does gathering except me, really. I'm sure there's a handful of people that
No
do it, but they don't
shot,
talk
really?
about it. We don't talk
They
about
don't
it.
talk
You
about
know,
it.
it's
It's
like,
that's what I'm talking about. You have to be
it's
like a
taboo
closeted
with PvPers.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be like closeted, bro. You can't actually say this out loud. Like they'll come get you, like with pitchforks. Like what an idiot.
I'm losing my advisor status as we're speaking right now. I can feel it.
It's obnoxious, dude. So obviously bartering needs to be updated. We'll touch on that a little bit later. Farming. Do you think mastery should be added to farming, or do you think that that's too much? Keep in mind that if they add mastery to farming, that means you have to move your mana set over to your farming character every single time. And by the way, that's really annoying. That's my least favorite part about life skilling, is having to move my mana set around constantly on all the different alts that I life skill on. But like, do you guys think they should add mastery to farming? Jay?
Mastery to farming.
Or why not? If you think it shouldn't be, then why not?
I think yes, just so that because there's just certain materials in the game that they're just so hard to get, and I think if there was like a mechanic that mastery could do for farming to get those easier materials, like truffle mushrooms or something, or maybe even some of the rare materials, like what are the materials needed for
This
deep
guy
sea again?
It is it's coral crystal, fruit of the deep sea. Yeah, coral crystal and fruit of the deep sea are the two big ones. Yeah.
If those would be made easier using mastery, I don't know, maybe that would be a good way to reuse them. Because right now there's nothing, right? And
yeah, I think
there should always be something for everything.
Yeah, I mean, like like bartering is a little sketchy, but like yeah, like I feel like if they're gonna add mastery to farming, screw it, add it to bartering too. Fuck, you can't go wrong, bro. Yeah. Just give me anything at this point. Like,
so you mentioned before how it would be annoying to move your manosphere to your life skills. I was just thinking maybe you could just have this UI that you can equip the manosphere on, and you would have that mastery for all your character, like basically a family-wide Manos system.
Yes. Fucking
and then that would
family-wide pool bag.
Don't even tease me like that. I'm getting a happy just thinking about it, bro.
In the family bag? Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah, or an extra tag just for life skilling gear, maybe. Honestly, no, I like Jay's idea.
It's almost like there's a tool bag that we could put our gear into, and then that would just be available to all the characters that have a tool bag or whatever.
Pull up.
Kind of wild to have a
tool bag. Why have they not done it? Oh my gosh, that would make it so much easier. My biggest problem with life skilling is that I don't know about you guys. I used to do everything on my Dark Knight long time ago. All of my life skills were on my Dark Knight a long time ago. But over time, I just became lazy, and I just didn't want to move her all over the world for everything. So now I have alts. I have very specific alts that are good at very specific things. Like my Master Horse Trainer is different than my Guru Processor, is different than my ridiculously high fishing level. Right? So it's all on different alts, and so if I want to do life skilling, it's really annoying because I constantly have to move that around, and it would be made so much easier if, like Jay said, or like Tilta said, you could just put it in one little gear set, and be able to pull it out on every character. Can you put life skilling gear into your family inventory? I don't think you can you?
No.
Of course you can't. Why would you ever be able to put anything useful in your family inventory?
I think it's just consumables.
Why would I throw that?
Can't put anything else.
Why would I even put that idea out there?
Scrolls, elixirs, food.
Yeah.
Another thing. The thought was there. Hang on, it'll come back to me in just a second. I was gonna say. So you know how you said you have alts, very specific alts that do very specific things. So when I first started playing BDO, that's how I had it set up. I had a ranger that was my gatherer, and then I had for specifically wolves, and then I had a Kuno that was my cooker, and then I had my DK, which was my fisher, and all this stuff. And I've actually gotten to the point now where I like having a main more and running to various places and doing the various life skills on just a single character. And I think the reason I've slowly started sliding into that mentality is war. I know this is another topic that we might not get to. We don't have to talk about it in detail, but I've had to level up so many tagged characters for tap times on forts that at this point I'm just like, well, most of my characters already have master and like 6 or 7 life skills. Like, it doesn't bother me to like level them up anymore. So I actually enjoy doing it all on one character now.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I mean, okay, so yeah, this was a topic you wanted to touch on. So
we don't have to touch on it now. We can keep
no,
talking
I like
about whatever.
no, it's fine. I think that you think that getting 20-second tap time is actually really tough, and I would agree that it needs to be updated a little bit. For any of the listeners that don't know, your life skilling levels on the character that you go to war on actually affect how quickly you're able to upgrade structures, repair the fort if it needs to be repaired, and repair the siege fort. Which is actually super impactful in Node War, especially for if you're being cannoned or anything like that. Having 20-second tap time, which is the lowest that you can have, is actually super impactful. And because there's a tag system, and life skills are character specific, it's very difficult to keep 20-second tap time on all the characters that you like to go to war on. So like, and I've been working on the Guardian for a little over a month probably now, and she's barely gonna hit 20-second tap time. Like, I need to just go through, I need to get to master cooking, master hunting, master alchemy, and like artisan farming. I need to do it all in one day. I just need to bang it out. I just haven't gotten around to it. But like getting the AFK life skills to the point where like you can get 20-second tap time on every character is tough. Is really tough. Do you feel like I know Tiltus, you said you want this to be easier. Jay, do you actually feel that system needs to be looked at again? Do you feel like it needs to be easier to get to like the lowest tap time on your characters?
Yeah, I mean, I don't play one character for Node War Sieges, but yeah, I can imagine this could be really an annoying chore for players who do play a new class for Node Wars, or roll to a new class, or a new class comes out, right? And need to get their life skills up every time. So if I were to make a change to the system, it would be a family-wide quest to acquire 20-second tap timers. And the quest can simply just be like, oh, get to this much family life fame, you know?
Oh, okay.
I like that.
Okay. Yes.
Wait, Jay's got all the good ideas here, bro. What the hell?
I was gonna say, I actually don't mind that it's difficult to get 20-second tap timing. I mind from a shot caller perspective and somebody that's trying to be competitive in Node Wars. I mind from that, but I don't mind from a player perspective, because if you are a FOMO player, I despise you with every fiber of my being. But so
flavor of the month.
Flavor of the month is what FOMO is. But I like having it tied to, like, you know, it being relatively difficult to get to 20-second tap, not difficult, but time consuming to get to 20-second tap timing. I don't mind that at all, because I feel like it punishes the FOMO players. But it being tied to life fame is a great idea.
That's brilliant.
Agree with that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I never thought about like that particularly. I mean, there are people that throw out the idea of universal life skills, get that idea out the window. You can't, it'll break the game. That'll break the game. On like 100 different levels. We won't get into that right now, but that'll break the game. But the honestly, the fame system is kind of useless. Right? Like they've buffed it a couple times. But like life skill fame is used to give you like silver per day. And that's like
silver per day.
Basically it. But like they could use it if you have over 1,000 fame, you know, you get 20-second tap time. And then all of your characters collectively, you know, you feel rewarded for life skilling on every character, and you don't necessarily have to like hard invest into that one character every time you want to reroll. That's brilliant. I think that needs to be changed, bro. This patch, make it happen. I would love that, bro. Because I'm
careful, bro. You're inviting spaghetti to dinner. Okay, watch it.
I mean, that can't be that hard of a fix, right? There's no way they messed this up, right? Like, there's actually just no way that like they can mess that up.
I'm gonna bring it up every podcast that we do. Remember, there was a time when you had 0 DP at Node Wars or height, so let's careful what we ask for.
All right,
spaghetti exists.
So back on the subject of mastery, I think we can all agree that the mastery system needs to be looked at again for the life skills that I think I think it's still working really well for the life skills that they actually implemented it for.
100%.
But like, it's not working at all for like these other life skills, and no matter how much you buff them, because they're not on par with the mastery system, they're just never going to be equivalent. I don't think until you add mastery to those systems, and I think that enough players have mastery gear at this point that you can feasibly add it to each system and have it not be busted, except for maybe fishing. Fishing is one we haven't touched on yet. That is like the primary AFK life skill that basically everybody goes to. I think you got to be a little careful about adding substantial amounts of mastery to that. Like right now, mastery for fishing does stuff. That's what they tell us that it's actually helping you. I promise. But it's I would argue that it doesn't help at all. But like maybe it probably should be like that for fishing. Yeah. I don't know. What do you feel like? Maybe you're the fishing expert.
Maybe it's maybe they change it for active fishing and buff active fishing in the same patch, and then AFK fishing is its own AFK thing. You know, I could see that being reasonable. You know, that doesn't break AFK fishing, but it rewards active fishing players. Not that any exist anymore, but you know, on the off chance that they decide to buff fishing, that could be an option. I do agree with Blue saying that there are some life skills that maybe need to be adjusted, and maybe they don't need to be tied as heavily to mastery. I'm fine with that kind of concept, because there is a big barrier to entry to get high mastery. Like, it's not cheap. That's why we sell our gear and rebuy it later, you know, and then we regret it. But there is a big barrier to entry, so I don't want to like to make it too difficult if a new player comes along and they want to get into life skilling because they came from RuneScape, you know, and where life skilling is king. That they're not getting super hard punished for not having, you know, billions of silver and life skill gear at the beginning.
Yeah, I think that the life skills they really need to be concerned about adding mastery to are the AFK ones.
Yeah. Yes.
Because like you don't really want people to be able to AFK. Like you don't want players all AFKing your game and making billions of silver, like per day or even per week necessarily speaking. It's
but
just
it doesn't
encourage chart number up good. That is true.
Look how many active players we have. Everybody's AFK. It's sitting in the tray.
Like processing, for example, I think is in a solid spot. But like fishing, you got to be careful about. Cooking is like semi AFK. I'm okay with the way like mastery kind of works for that at the moment. Okay, looking back at the trading rework, are any of these life skills, like we've looked at mastery, are any of these, we talked about how like fun versus unfun actual content versus rewards. And so like excluding the rewards for a moment and just looking at the like each of these life skilling systems, like as their raw values, like fishing, for example, in the fishing mini game and what it would be like to actively fish. Which life skills do you think are like in dire need of a rework, a good rework, not trading?
Wait, so I can't bring up trading again? That it's in dire need of a rework?
oh God, the developers are in absolute
they're in shambles
right now.
Yeah, trading fix it. It's still not good. And active fishing, fishing in general needs to be fixed. It is the AFK life skill, but it's so dog water. It's so bad. Like, you don't make any money for leaving your PC on overnight or while you're at work and fishing. Like there's other things you could be doing, like horse training, which is fine, I guess, for some players, but like there should be some benefit other than my dried fish, you know, that I get.
Bro, just Imperial Vendor the fish, bro. What are you doing? Okay, all right. I'm gonna do you a solid right here. Okay, you sail out. You take your archaeologist map, right, which you definitely have because you're a treasure hunter, and we talked about it. You take the archaeologist map, right? And you sail out west of Port Rat to this little island, straight into the Ross Sea, just the tip of the Ross Sea, and you toss that rod in the water. Okay. You're not going to get hit by lightning. You're not going to get hit by tornadoes. None of that stuff affects you. It's abundant, highest relic crystal shard drop rate in the game. And in the morning, you can just sail just back in enough to see your map again. Map to Portaferia, Imperial Vendor all of your fish, move your relic crystal shards to the marketplace, and then archaeologist map back to your boat again and repeat. That is like currently like the most efficient fishing in the game. I think as far as like AFK fishing, but you have to have an archaeologist map to do it, which is like kind of sketchy. But I think that overall, I think fishing is like really high up on that list. Fishing absolutely needs to just get overhauled, bro. Like it's useless to AFK fish now. Even if you do it that way, it's miserable. Like they need to completely overhaul that system. And I'm not talking about this trading rework. You said that trading needs to be reworked. I actually think that the content itself for trading, fundamentally, I think they did a decent job on.
Okay,
I give it like a 6 or 7 out of 10. But like they need to adjust some things, right? Like Jay said before, like this whole 4-hour system where you have to be on all the time and constantly sweating the price on stuff. That's too much. So that needs to be adjusted. But I do think that people have fun pathing their wagons around, and I know because I have fun pathing my wagon around. I'm like, ooh, I'm moving trade goods. Of course, I'm the barterer in the call. Here we go again. Like but like I think the trading rework actually is solid, but it needs adjustments for sure before it's actually viable. Aside from fishing, Jay, do you think the fishing needs an update? And then give us another life skill you feel needs to be updated.
I haven't really thought about fishing. I think, as you mentioned, it's, I feel like the barrier to entry of an archaeologist map to do the most efficient fishing is not the most ideal. But another life skill, I think you touched on it at the beginning of the stream, was it was farming, when you were mentioning about all these factors like groundwater levels, humidity levels, and temperature. And, I thought that was such a cool thing, and it ended up just not being anything. Everyone just put their farms on the Valley of Cliffs, right? And so rework mechanics that I would love to see is to have certain locations mattering a lot more for like a lot of crop yield. So let's say you're farming some sunflowers for some reason and you want to put them somewhere that's really sunny, the temperature is high, hot and sunny, and you would get much more yield, like ×3 yield for planting a crop in the more favorable spot for the crop, right? And maybe for mushrooms, you would have to put them in a very dark, secluded place for the best yield. I think that would be like a cool sort of mechanic for the farming. And even further, we could take it so that maybe you could farm some sort of like legendary seed that gave rare materials like truffle mushroom or something. And maybe you can grow some enhancement materials. Maybe we could take it more fantasy route and you can grow some like random, other things than plants. I don't know.
The Arch homies are having a
grow Caphras. Maybe we can grow Craphistry, and maybe watering and fertilizing your crops also gave bonus yield or something. I think if these mechanics were implemented, there would be a lot more depth for the life skills. So that's my idea.
I completely agree. I think that farming is that was the one I was going to look at. Farming is the most criminally underutilized content. They have all of this amazing farming content in the game, and all of these systems are already in place. Like if you open your map again, before we talked about territory research information, how many times have you clicked on groundwater information? How many times have you clicked on temperature information, humidity information? All of that stuff already exists in the game, and they even update it for each like territory, every region that has come out. They update all of those maps for all of those things, and no one ever uses them because their farming content is essentially dead. Like Jay said, it's so one-dimensional. Everybody just puts their farm on the coast. Reward players for putting their farm in, Dregan or next to a lake or next to a river, or like having their farm in the correct location yields like 4 times as much stuff. Like that would be so cool. Having to constantly move your farms and things like that. Fertilizer is in the game. Most players don't even know that that's a thing. Make fertilizer actually super useful. Like watering your crops, you can make that super useful. Right, so like technically you could put your farm in a bad spot, but as long as you're watering it all the time, and also this could go hand in hand with the worker rework. Like, oh my god, that's more. A lot of people in the audience, I'm sure, are like, oh, it's just more work for me. Actually, you could have your workers like, okay, I want this worker to prune the crops, and then I want this one to water the crops, and then I want this one to fertilize the crops. So you could use more workers per farm, which would help integrate the two systems a little bit more.
I just had a huge, big brained thought.
Okay, go ahead before you lose it.
So, oh yeah, I know it's bad today. So you know how you send workers to nodes? What if you had a farm attached to that node, and then the worker could just go to that node and it would just take care of whatever farms were on that node instead of a like excavation or something like that. So that way, if you have water in the town that worker is working from, they just go to that node, they take care of the crops, and that would allow you to move your farms into different locations around the map like Jay was talking. And then instead of sending a worker to excavate or to harvest a node, you're instead sending them to the farm specifically with water and fertilizer from that town that worker's associated with inventory.
I feel like I just suggested this.
Wait, like
I feel like I literally
like connected to the node?
No, I don't feel like it should be connected to the node per se, because you can only put one worker on one node, unless you're Blade Boquest. You can only put one worker on one node, which means that if you have 10 farms sitting on that node, you can't have one worker doing all 10 farms. I think that's a little rough. So
Fair
like,
enough.
yeah, I think tying it to the node might be
saying then.
Yeah.
My mistake.
But I think that putting multiple workers to do multiple things to help increase your crop yield or make farming, if you want to put like 40 workers on farming and put your farms in a super efficient spot, you should get the yield, right? Like you should be, and there's your fruit of, everything. Your fruit problem is fixed at that point, because then your yield is much higher for the fruits and stuff too. I think that might be just like huge, and all these systems already exist. Bro, they don't have to introduce any new mechanics or anything crazy like that. You would just get people using stuff that is currently considered like dead content, like the world map, the different like resource information on the world map. Jay, do you have any other ideas for farming? Or okay, so Jay suggested farming. I got fishing. Tiltus, what else do you think needs to be reworked?
I think
trading.
Yeah, well, trading just needs to, if the content is good, it just needs to be fixed. Adjust the values a little bit.
It's okay to say nothing else. It's okay to say nothing else if you don't want to.
Well, see, I don't know. So here's the thing, right? Is like I don't do a lot of boat content, but sailing as a skill individually seems a little weird to me. So since you're the boaty guy, how is like the sailing life skill itself? Because you mostly level it up through sailies, correct?
Oh, you're serious? No, it's terrible. Oh, it's miserable. Nobody does that. Yeah, you have to level it up through sailies.
I've leveled it up to skilled a couple of times for a couple of different characters, and it sucks every time.
Yeah.
And I feel like
go ahead.
The rewards are fine for the skills for the mount, I guess, but there could be something else there, surely, right?
It's got to be better, man. You're talking about going from master to guru gives you 1 second off on your cannon time, which sounds sounds amazing. Like, oh my god, all the valor people are out there like, this is ridiculous, until you realize that it takes you literally 63 years to actually do that.
I don't know if anyone has ever reached guru.
I think that some players are getting close. I see it, but they do every single sailing daily every single day, and they've been doing it for like 4 years, and and they're still not there. And this is all for 1 second off on your cannon time, right? Like sailing needs to be reworked on the whole, but anytime you say boat content, Perlibus puts their head in the sand.
Blue Battlefield.
It's because they messed up with the. So the first Margoria expansion was amazing, but they promised us a second one, and then we never got it. They were like all of this deep sea diving, deep sea fishing stuff. All of this exists within the game. As someone that's literally like mapped out almost the entire ocean bottom, and like I've dove. You guys ever dove to the bottom of the Margoria Ocean before? Like out in the ocean.
I have.
Yep.
Yeah. There's actually a bottom there for some of it. And then they didn't code the rest of it. They were like, no one's gonna come down here. And I'm like, joke's on you. I'm a degenerate. But like underwater gathering should have been buffed a long time ago. Sailing, and that would buff sailing again as well. Sailing just needs a big update overall. It's just in a miserable spot. Bartering needs a huge update. Is the another big one I wanted to touch on is that bartering's in just the system itself is amazing. It's the best update that they have ever had for a life skill, because they just added, and it was the last life skill that we saw added to the game, and it was incredible. The mechanic was super good. Yes, they had to adjust. It was kind of like trading when it came out, and so people were like, "Oh my gosh, it's just too sweaty," but it made a lot of money, so people did it. Then they decreased the amount of money, but made it a lot less sweaty, and then even more people did it. And now we're in a situation where it just doesn't make any amount of silver, because you can't use your crow coins for anything but upgrading your boat gear more. Like you're just not making any money. Like you're talking 4 hours for maybe 600 million silver. It's just not there. They just need to increase the rewards for that, and maybe just adding mastery might be a way to fix it. It doesn't really need a rework as much as it just needs a reward adjustment. But I agree with you guys. Farming and fishing are probably the two biggest ones. And then the trading rework needs to be adjusted for sure. Yeah. Now, we're looking at 8 minutes left, and I want to move on to our final topic, which in this case is what do you guys feel would be an amazing new life skill to add to the game? I just touched on bartering being the last life skill they added like 4 years ago. 3-4 years ago, something like that. And what kind of life skills would you guys like to see? And don't say climbing.
Jay, do you want to go first? Because I have a really strong opinion on this one that I want to see.
Yeah, I mean, I had this idea where it would be like an inscription life skill, which involved the creation of scrolls and enchantments. I think that would be really cool to see. You could craft like loot scrolls, you could craft XP scrolls for combat and life skills. And for like enchanting scrolls, it would be cool to sort of craft weapon and armor enchantments that you can add alternative stats for your weapon for a permanent or temporary amount of time. So for example, maybe you could enchant your weapon to gain an additional 1% BSR per kill for the next 24 hours or something. Or you can enchant your armor to prevent the loss of a crystal for 24 hours or whatever enchantment really. I mean, additional stats would be fine as well. Like AP, accuracy, stamina, BSR capacity, and these would all be sellable in the market. So it would be continuously like a profit sort of thing because they would only last a certain amount of time. And I think it would be pretty popular in the new region too, because the new crystals, if you don't know, the legendary crystals are 5 billion on the market and they're like completely sold out. And okay, here's the thing: to craft one, it could potentially take you like 2 to 3 months to make one legendary crystal, because you only get a weekly chest, right? Basically. And there's a chance you get a level 1 or a level 2 crystal. You can't get the level 3 crystal, which is the highest tier, right? Which is the 5 bill one. So, and you need 3 level 1s to craft 1 level 2 crystal, and you need 3 level 2 crystals to craft the legendary crystal. And there's a chance you might not even get any of those crystals. So it's just so difficult to get those crystals. So I think a sort of like crystal breakage prevention enchantment would be pretty cool to see. So.
Yeah, I like it. Inscription or calligraphy. They could call it calligraphy.
Yeah. My only problem with that whole system is I would rather slam my dick into a car door than run more scrolls. I hate relic crystal shard scrolls. I fucking hate. I'm scarred for life. I hate running scrolls. I think the idea is good outside of the whole we're gonna craft more scrolls, because scrolls are like the most dead content to me, man. I hate doing them. I don't like standing in one spot and just doing the same. I like going in a circle, not just standing in a spot. I like grinding PvE is like much more engaging and like fun. The man, every time they introduce a scroll, it's like the most boring thing ever. The only scroll that's actually engaging in the whole game is the Ibidor scroll. Has like the Olin's like mechanic in it, but aside from that, there's really no other mechanics that make scroll content engaging. But we'll talk about that another time. The inscription idea is a good idea. I just don't know how I feel about having to run more scrolls.
Well, I don't really mean running scrolls in general. The inscription is just for it's like a buff to your character. It's not like something you would run. You know what I mean? Because I was just talking about like enchantments, and the other scrolls I was talking about crafting was just loot scrolls and XP scrolls,
Oh, yeah, those are
the majority of our loot scrolls would be is from, I don't know, like from our value pack or from events and stuff. So if we could craft them ourselves, that would be especially for like a newer player, that would be really good for them.
I think monetarily though, I don't think they're gonna give that to us. I think they need players to. I think they want players to have to buy loot scrolls. EXP scrolls, maybe you allow people to craft EXP scrolls and skill EXP scrolls and stuff like that. Loot scrolls are, I think they like to monetize that a little bit more. But you're right. That would be an excellent life skill. Like the inscription life skill would actually be super useful. And then you could craft better EXP scrolls if you had a better level. Yeah, that's good. Tiltus, you said you had a very strong opinion on something. What is it?
Yeah, I want construction in the game so badly.
Dude, we're running on Windows Vista here. There's actually just no shot.
I want to be able to build my own house from scratch. I want to be able to build something, and okay. So I love the housing in RuneScape where you've got your own like little portal and you go into it and it's your house and you customize the layout of your house and you customize what each room is. You customize the furniture that's in it. I love that skill. And you can create little like mini dungeons in them as well, which I really fucking like. Because then you can get your friends together and do house parties and just run through, your little dungeon that you've made or whatever. I'm also a dungeon master for D&D, so like I love I love that kind of stuff, like creating dungeons and stuff like that. So I would love for there to be a construction skill where I can build my own house and I can do my own layout. You can give me like Lincoln logs and I'll put that shit fucking together. And I would love for that to be tied into a life skill where it's like, hey, you're this life skill, you're able to craft these set of rooms. Just literally rip it straight from RuneScape and just make it in BDO, and I would lose my mind.
Well, as long as we're throwing out ideas that are just never going to happen, why don't we just add catapults to siege, and we can actually knock down siege, like castle walls and stuff would be also super sick. But like well, as long as we're living in the fantasy world, there's actually just no shot. That is an amazing idea. Good concept.
I would love it.
I would put my bottom dollar on, keep in mind, I am a teacher, so there's not much dollars there. But like, I would put my bottom dollar on that never being able to happen because it's
absolutely.
too much of a coding nightmare. Like
absolutely.
you'd have to you'd have to rework, not to mention the effect it's going to have on the rest of
it would have to be an instanced area for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, not to mention
you go to it and this is your house.
Okay, yeah, that's all right. That's probably much more doable. I just like
out in the open world. That would be insane. No shot.
I'm like, dude, like, how do you even manage that with the other life skills, bro? Like, I chopped down all the trees and the forest is just gone.
No. It would have to be an instance area
like
where
what?
It's like you take a portal or something and you go to this, plot of land that doesn't exist in the actual game, and you build your house there, and you have your guildies come over and do that.
That's actually doable then. Yeah.
Like that's how RuneScape is set up as well. So literally just rip and tear directly from RuneScape.
Ooh, you could also add. You could go into this instance. You could add PvP to this too. You could. It exists. You could if you go into this instance, and yes, you can modify the map and like chop down trees and make your residence, but other players can come harass, like attack you at your residence, and like,
or even just set up like fight clubs inside. That's what they do in RuneScape.
He immediately went to fighting pits, and I just FBI. That's your guy right there.
No, but like in RuneScape, there's a boxing ring room that you can build, and players that are in your house can go into the ring and have a fight. So you could have an arena or something like that you could build, and it's like, hey, the guildies want to get together and throw a party on fucking Friday night. Let's all get together at so and so's house and go in there and have like a tournament bracket or something like that doesn't exist in AOA.
Oh, dude. Oh, don't even bring tournaments in it. We can't even get tournaments in the AOS.
In-house.
I know. We can't even get tournaments in AOS. You're really reaching here. But like, I think the construction skill is a good idea. What do you guys think about the very quickly as like a last parting thought? Actually, first, Jay, we didn't hear your thoughts on the construction. What do you feel about that?
I think that would be very hard to implement. I like the idea.
No, for sure. This is a dream goal. It's a stretch goal.
Yeah. Okay. So lastly, they said they were going to add like a climbing life skill like forever ago. Yeah. We never got it. Do you think it's a good idea to add a climbing life skill to the game? And how does that even look, bro? Like what?
I think I remember when someone when I was like trying to research what it was about, like for the climbing life skill way back when. It was you'd be able to climb like these high areas to gather rare materials, and I think it was an interesting idea. I think they were trying to make you would use climbing for other things other than that. You would be able to like scale, I don't know, buildings or something, so that players could, I don't know, use it for like node war stuff. I feel like it was going to be a PvP oriented life skill, so that players can, I don't know, climb the castle or climb node war walls. I don't know, but
yeah, so that only lawns, like right now, only lawns can get to certain situation or like certain places, right? So a climbing life skill might actually help with that. But it also
it wasn't it.
I'm getting flashbacks of a recent war with cannons. Just keep going.
Flashbacks. Anyway, Jay?
I was going to say, I think it was an interesting idea to introduce, or going to be introducing, but never introduced, a PvP-oriented life skill in the game.
Yeah, I think the reason they ultimately didn't go through with the climbing life skills, they realized, we have to actually code areas of our game that like we wouldn't have to code otherwise. Like there's spots in the game that like we actually can't get to currently, but like then we would be able to get to them. It's kind of like deep sea diving. Oh man, we have to actually go code the ocean. That's crazy.
Have you ever seen the Crimson Desert trailer? They actually had the character climbing, and I feel like that's what it would have looked like.
Yeah, I guarantee you that's what they did. It's just like when they added airships to the game, and they were like, literally in the patch note, it was like, we have added airships to the game. Do not be excited. Do not try and mount the airships. And then the next thing we did for the next week is everyone tried every which way to try and land on these airships, bro. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I think that's probably... but yeah, they definitely experiment with stuff in BDO for other games as well. But okay, I think we're out of time for this podcast here. We're actually a little bit over, but and like I thought, we didn't actually get to everything that we necessarily wanted to talk about. But that's okay.
Yeah, today was a good list.
Yeah, we have good content for next time too. So let's go ahead and do our outros here. Tiltus, go ahead first.
Yeah, I'm Tiltus TV. I am a closeted life skiller and leader of the guild, or advisor of the guild Epidemic. I shot call Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday. I forgot my node war days. And I do some streaming on the weekends. I've recently started doing a full story playthrough of BDO to get caught up on all the lore before the new region comes out. And I'm going to try to learn every class in the game to some extent in PvP.
All right, Jacob?
Hi, my name is Jay, and I do a lot of party content in BDO, Olin's Valley, Dungeons. If you have any questions about those kind of systems in game, let me know. I also welcome any new player that comes into my game. I love explaining new classes and introducing the game to player. I want this game to succeed, so meet me at twitch.tv/jkunvt.
All
Not
right.
TV, but VT.
VT, yeah. He's always got to specify.
I tried to get TV, but someone already had it.
Oh my goodness. It's rough, man.
Oh, Blue knows all about that.
Don't even talk to me about the underscore in my name. I will smack you. All right, I am Blue Squadron. I am on Twitch and now soon to be evolving on YouTube here. Of course, you can find the podcast on YouTube, but most of my content currently is on Twitch. We have Fun Day Mondays on Monday where we do fun VOD reviews and show people how to do large-scale PvP and teach people how to play their classes in large-scale PvP, so that's a lot of fun. Of course, we have the Old Moon podcast on Tuesday. I scream at people for 4 hours on Saturday when I shot call Siege, which is always super fun content. And then Sundays, usually we have some sort of event stream, like we're doing IRL cooking, or I'm getting 1vx by the ocean. So, something interesting is always happening there. You can find me at twitch.tv/Blue Squadron, or you can visit my YouTube, which again, we're starting up. I'm very excited to start it up this summer. We're going to start introducing a lot of guides and things like that on the YouTube and really try to get that off the ground this summer. This has been the three of us, twitch.tv/TiltusTV, twitch.tv/JQNVT, and twitch.tv/Blue Squadron. That is going to be a wrap for the Old Moon Podcast, episode 7. Remember, you can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, JQN's YouTube, my YouTube, you name it. If you want to listen to BDO content, we've got you covered. We will see you guys next week.